So what the block is, us, our limitation. What we're saying to ourselves is, I would love that lifestyle, but I'm not capable of getting myself there.
So today we're talking about faith and spirituality.
Yeah, faith and spirituality. To me, it's the foundation of everything. Faith is essential in our lives. It affects everything that we do, because there's times in life where we cannot see the answer. We have no idea. Matter of fact, we not only can't see the answer, all we can see is the problem. And it's just staring at us. Faith gives us an ability to know that there's something greater working within us, working with us, working for us, that will enable us to get to where we want to go. And faith and spirituality is very, very important in knowing our overall purpose in life as well. And if we don't have an overall purpose in life, we live purposeless.
Yep.
And that's usually an empty lifestyle. It's usually one that is not attractive. People are not attracted to somebody with no purpose, with no direction.
Right.
And I'm not saying that those people aren't valuable. They are. And to me, everyone is valuable on planet Earth. But when somebody doesn't have that purpose, sometimes they can be overlooked in relationships. If they don't have that purpose, they don't value their body. If they don't have that purpose, they don't want to perform at an optimum level. And so faith is the foundation of all of these particular areas that we've been discussing.
What is faith? Because I feel like people have different perspectives. I feel like when you say faith and spirituality, it's like, it's really focused on, do you believe in God? Do you do this? Do you go to church? Is that what it is? Or is there something even more foundational and fundamental?
Great question, and I would answer it this way. Yeah, it can include those other things. Certainly, people who are religious would say they are people of faith. But I don't believe that we can limit faith just to religion. Faith, to me, is... And I'm actually going to use the Bible to define it, because I think the Bible does give us a good definition of faith.
I agree.
And the Bible says that faith is the evidence. So it's a real evidence. There's an evidence of something. Faith is the evidence of the things that we hope for, but things we have not yet seen.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
So faith, in reality, faith is being able to see something before you can see it.
Interesting. So even like a company like Uber, it took those guys' faith, because it didn't exist. They hoped that there was a better solution. There wasn't one. And so it took faith for them to actually start that. And that's not religious at all.
Right.
That's a business.
Exactly.
So faith is, you said it's the evidence of something that's hoped for but not yet seen.
Yeah. So the evidence part is important. What evidence do I have?
Yeah.
Well, if I don't have something concrete here that I can hold in my hand, the evidence then comes. Faith is my evidence. I believe that I can do this. I believe that I've been placed here on earth to make a difference, to be an influence. And faith comes at critical times in our lives. Faith is necessary at the most critical times in our lives, because if we have the evidence, if we see it, if it's in front of us, we don't need faith. You don't need faith to believe for something you already have.
Interesting.
You have to have faith for something that you don't yet have.
So faith and hope aren't the same thing.
Not exactly.
So hope, because I feel like they're used synonymously sometimes. So hope is something that you want, but you don't know if it's ever going to come.
Yeah, if you hear people say, I hope so. I hope so. It means, I hope so, but I don't know so.
But that's a lot different. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I know where you're going with that,
Yep.
but let me also say, but faith is, I believe so and I know so. And yet I don't have the proof of it, but I know it. And you're not going to talk me out of it.
How do people know stuff before they see it? Is that where the spirituality comes in?
I think it's where the spirituality comes in, but I think it's also where things are deposited inside of us.
Okay.
You know, something's inside of us. There's a desire. There's a belief. There's, you know, you begin to see things. You begin to visualize it. You begin to recognize that this can happen if I believe it. And if I don't believe it, it's never going to happen. There's something about belief that's attractive. So many people are looking for something to believe in. And I will tell you this, Joey, people will believe in people that believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's true. That's true.
And they're attracted to it because they so desperately want to believe themselves, but they don't believe themselves. So they will believe in people that do believe.
I'm thinking to Amazon, like business that was operating for 20 years. Quite literally, I believe, you can fact check me on this, but I believe Amazon showed a loss on their books for 20 straight years before they turned a profit. It takes a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Because there's no evidence of profit. They're just like, once we get to this point, we know there's going to be a profit on the books. We know we're going to make money. Would that be an example of faith?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And how about Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
Who really had faith revelations. I mean, this guy, he had things inside of him that believed that he was born for this ultimate purpose. But if you look at his political record, it was filled with failure.
Okay.
He failed over and over and over and over and over and over and over, literally almost to the point up till his election as president, he had failed over and over again. So there was no evidence. There was no empirical evidence that he was going to be a political success. But he believed, here's where purpose comes in. He believed he wasn't just supposed to be successful politically. He believed that there was a higher purpose for his life. He believed he was called. He believed that he was placed on earth to do something. And now we know today, he was literally used to begin to the process of, number one, not only abolishing slavery, but changing our ideas and concepts about racism and about how we treat our fellow man, about humanity. So think of the impact he had. But no one would look at what he did up to that point and go, wow, he's so successful.
Yeah, that's very true.
But he believed.
So there was evidence before in his heart, and now there's evidence after.
Correct.
In fact.
Yeah.
And no one can dispute it.
Yeah.
Before it's a little bit disputable, but after it's not.
Right.
So faith, I've never actually considered it like that. Even now, you know, growing up in church my whole life, being a follower of Jesus, I've never thought of, faith, even up till this very moment, I've thought of faith and hope kind of as the same thing. But faith, it really is an evidence because the belief in and of itself almost has the exact same factor in other people being on board as the evidence. Because it's like, it's evident that that person believes it. And they're really confident. Like companies get started, businesses, organizations, churches, they get started because of belief. Everything gets started because of faith. It has to. Nothing that exists wasn't started from where it is right now. So knowing this new information, I feel like that is an idea right there. Knowing this new information, is there anything tangible, something small? Is there a way to practice faith? Is there a way to, in practicing faith, it sounds like you have to go to church, and I do go to church, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I absolutely believe that that's a way to practice faith, but when I'm talking about practice faith, I'm like, is there a way to start small and like I'm thinking of going to the gym. I start with some 5-pound faith and then some 10-pound faith. And then is there a way to like I don't know if I'm articulating that well.
Maybe there is, but I'm going to suggest instead of starting small, jump in.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this one. So I believe that you can be religious and not have faith. Religion means to practice something regularly. Okay, so people can be religious. They can go to church. They can have their religion, which is all good, right? I do that. But faith, you can have religion and not have faith. What I would say to your question, how could somebody practice faith, is I'm going to throw something at you.
Okay, we're ready.
Practice thinking bigger than yourself. Practice, because most people ask the question, what am I capable of? What can I do? What is my capacity level? What is my education? What is my bank account? People with faith or high-level thinking people who I love to coach, they don't think about the limitations. They don't think about the ceiling. They think about what could be. What could be if I could create this business? Where could I be if I didn't have to work a 9 to 5, but I had the freedom to create? So practicing faith is simply, to me, to begin to think big.
I feel like as you're talking, I'm like, sounds like everybody has faith. Everybody thinks like, man, I wish I had that car. I would love to have this job, or I'd love to do this with my life. It seems like everybody has faith. Sounds like something stops faith. What stops faith? Maybe there's a multitude of things, but is there anything that you found that, like, because you're talking about a ceiling. Sounds like there's some kind of sometimes people can have this like, yeah, I'd love to do that, but I can't because of this circumstance. Is there something that...
Yeah, right there, you answered it.
Okay.
I can't.
Ah.
So what the block is, us, our limitation. What we're saying to ourselves is, I would love that lifestyle, but I'm not capable of getting myself there. So we become the limitation.
Technically, maybe I'm wrong, but technically isn't it? This might be the most valuable idea you guys have ever received in your entire life, if it's right. If I'm coming to the right conclusion, I actually feel like you are coming to the same conclusion as me right now. Isn't saying I can't technically faith, because there's no evidence that you can't. You're just saying it.
Absolutely.
There's no evidence that you can or can't, because you didn't.
Yeah.
So you can't prove that you couldn't have done it, because
You're
maybe you could have.
You're putting your faith in what you can't do.
So you can't really not have faith.
Right. So here's what I believe. I believe that once we get something, a visualization of who we can become, if we remove ourselves from the equation, I believe that something's downloaded. It's downloaded into us that causes us to believe. In other words, faith comes down when we remove our limitation. And so faith then fills that. And so instead of it's us looking at what we're capable of, something higher, something greater, something more powerful is downloaded inside of me that says, I believe that. I believe that. I believe that this can be done. Now I become a vessel in which that power operates and flows through, instead of me being my education, my experience, my background. Not that those things aren't important, but there's something greater than me,
right,
that is filling me to accomplish and see that. So absolutely, you are exactly right. It does take faith to say, I can't.
It literally takes faith to say I can't. And it probably takes just the same amount of faith to say I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how you're talking about looking beyond yourself, because if you look beyond yourself, even to a team, like maybe you can't do it by yourself, but what's the power of a team working together?
Yes.
What's the power of God working on your behalf?
Yeah. And I know we're talking about faith and spirituality, but one of the things that we talk about regularly on this podcast is money or finance or even mindset, money mindset and prosperity. And it is statistically proven when it comes to a millionaire mindset, millionaire mindsets believe that everything happens through teams.
Wow.
That it's all about teams. It's not just about me. So it's people collectively coming together, working together to create the dream and the hope. And so now their faith and belief system is not just in them. Their faith and belief system is now in the team. And when a team, and I know this from athletic coaching, when a team comes together and believes in each other, they become unstoppable. That's when you have a championship team, when everybody believes in each other.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of 5 Ideas. Remember, it takes faith to say I can't, and it also takes faith to say I can. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, but not yet seen. We're so thrilled that you were able to join us for this episode of 5 Ideas. We cannot wait to see you on the next one.